I never thought I'd bury my uncle with a smile. But there I was, standing over his casket in that overpriced Chicago funeral home, grinning like a fool because the old bastard finally left me everything, $18 million in real estate, stocks, and cold hard cash he'd clawed from the city's underbelly. The priest droned on about eternal rest while I pictured my parents' faces when they heard they'd dumped me like yesterday's trash when I was 10, vanishing into the ether after framing me for their dirty little embezzlement scam at Dad's firm. And now, they'd crawl back from whatever rock they hid under, thinking they could claim a slice of the pie they never baked. It started with a phone call at 2 a.m., the kind that rips you from sleep like a bad acid trip. "Faith, it's Mom." Her voice was all honey and regret, the same tone she'd used to coo bedtime stories before the world went to hell. I laughed, actually laughed, because the last time she'd called was to scream at me over the phone from some burner line, telling me I was the reason their lives were ruined. Ruined? Try getting shipped off to a state home at 10, labeled a troubled kid because you wouldn't rat out the people who were supposed to protect you. Uncle Ray had pulled me out of that pit, raised me in his cramped Wrigleyville apartment with takeout Thai and stories of how he'd hustled his way up from nothing. "Family's what you make, kid," he'd say, puffing on his eternal cigar. He made me his family. And now he was gone, felled by a heart attack in his Lincoln Park high-rise, leaving me his empire. The reading of the will was a circus. Ray's lawyer, a shark named Harlan with a comb-over that screamed old money, laid it out in the conference room overlooking Lake Michigan, everything to Faith Harper, his niece, sole heir. No caveats, no strings. I could almost hear the wind off the lake whispering, "Fuck you," to the ghosts of my past. That's when they showed up, my parents, slinking in like alley cats after a garbage fire. Mom, Diane, with her bleached bob and designer coat that screamed, "Trying too hard," and Dad, Victor, still rocking that Wall Street slick with his salt and pepper beard and eyes like a predator sizing up roadkill. They hadn't aged a day in 15 years. Or maybe prison time does that to you, freezes you in your sins. "Faith. Honey," Mom started, her voice cracking just enough to sell the act. We were in the lobby, the scent of lilies choking the air. "We're so sorry. We had to. Circumstances. But Ray, he was family. We want to make things right." Dad nodded, all solemn, but I caught the flicker in his eyes, the one that said he was already calculating angles. I didn't hug them. I didn't cry. I just handed Harlan my keys and said, "Get them out," but they didn't leave. 2 weeks later, the lawsuit dropped like a bomb, Harper v. Harper. They claimed Ray had promised them a cut, some bullshit verbal agreement from before he cut ties. $18 million. The whole damn thing. My inheritance. The safety net Ray built brick by bloody brick. And they wanted to snatch it because family reconciliation. You think abandonment hurts? Try getting sued by the people who lit the match to your childhood. I was 10 when it happened, back in our Bucktown brownstone. The one with the creaky stairs and Mom's rose garden out back. Dad worked at a mid-tier investment firm. Nothing flashy, but enough to keep us in Cubs tickets and summer trips to Door County. Then the money started disappearing, client funds. Petty at first, then chunks that could buy a small yacht. Dad swore it was for investments, but I overheard the fights, Mom hissing about debts from his gambling, him snarling back about her shopping sprees. One night, after a bender, Dad came home with a duffel bag of cash and a wild look. "We're fixing this, Vic," Mom said, but her hands shook as she counted it. I walked in on them stuffing it into the safe. Kid curiosity. You know? I asked what it was for. And Dad's face went thundercloud. None of your business. Faith. But Mom, ever the soft touch, pulled me aside later. It's a game, sweetie. Daddy's playing a game to make us rich. The next day, the auditors came. Dad's boss found the discrepancies. $200K gone. Poof. Cops swarmed the house, badges flashing under the foyer chandelier. They grilled me first because I was the only witness who wouldn't lie. Lie? I was 10. But Dad whispered in my ear that morning, his breath sour with whiskey. Tell them you took it. Baby girl. Say you found the safe open, and spend it on toys or whatever kids do. We'll get you ice cream after. Ice cream. For ruining my life. I did it. God help me. I stood in that interrogation room with cartoons still on my sneakers and confessed to stealing from my own father. I wanted a pony, I mumbled, the lie tasting like vomit. They bought it, some sob story about a neglected kid acting out. Charges against Dad evaporated. He was the victim. Poor guy with a thieving daughter. Mom sobbed on the news, clutching a tissue. How could she? Social services swooped in, and by week's end, I was in a group home in Englewood, trading silk sheets for a metal bunk and nightly screams from the hallway. My parents? They sold the house, filed for bankruptcy to dodge the civil suits, and bolted to Florida under new names. Victor and Diane vanished. Faith Harper became a ward of the state, labeled a juvenile delinquent. Uncle Ray found me 6 months later. He was Dad's estranged brother, the black sheep who'd made his fortune in real estate flips and consulting gigs that smelled like mob ties. He burst into the home like a hurricane, all bluster and bear hugs. Ain't no niece of mine rotting in this shithole. He fought the courts, proved I was innocent, hired PIs to dig up the real trail, the offshore accounts in Mom's maiden name. But by then, my parents were ghosts, and the statute was running out. Ray got custody, raised me on stories of their fuck-ups, Dad's poker debts in Vegas, Mom's affair with a bookie that spiraled the whole mess. They chose greed over you, kid. Don't ever forget. I didn't. I thrived, Northwestern grad, sharp as a tack in finance, just like Ray taught. Built my own life in the shadow of his, waiting for the day karma knocked. Now, 15 years later, that knock was at my door in the form of a summons. I sat in Harlan's office, staring at the papers. Undue influence, they claimed. Ray was vulnerable in his last years, manipulated by me into cutting them out. Bullshit. Ray was sharp till the end, signing the will with a flourish and a wink. Screw Faith. This is payback. But the suit dragged on. Discovery phase turning my life into a deposition circus. They hauled out old photos, me at 10, gap-toothed and grinning on Dad's shoulders at a White Sox game. See? We were a family, Mom testified, dabbing her eyes for the camera crews outside the Daily Center. The press ate it up. Abandoned daughter versus repentant parents, $18M family feud. Clickbait gold. I became the villain, the ungrateful ice queen hoarding her dead uncle's gold. Harlan advised settlement. Give them $1 million. Faith. Walk away clean. But clean? There was no clean after what they did. I started digging. Late nights in Ray's old study with its leather chairs and whiskey decanters. Hired my own PI, a grizzled ex-cop named Lou who owed Ray a favor. First hit, my parents hadn't been in Florida sunning themselves. They'd done time, short stints in county jails for fraud, bounced around like ping-pong balls. Divorced now, remarried to grifters in their own rights. Mom to a yacht broker in Miami. Dad to a therapist in Phoenix who specialized in recovery coaching for ex-cons. But the real bomb? Lou uncovered the safe house footage from that night, the one the cops lost.
Dad. Not me.
Cracking the safe with a crowbar. Mom counting bills by flashlight. And me, in the background, peeking from the stairs, innocent as a lamb. That secret burned in my gut like bad bourbon. They'd framed me, their own blood, to save their skins. Ray had known, tried to expose it years ago, but the trail went cold.
Now,
with the lawsuit heating up, I saw my shot. Revenge wasn't about the money, it was about the truth. Ugly and jagged. Carving them open like they did me. But here's where it gets messy. Dad reached out first. Off the record. At a dive bar in Pilsen. Faith. Let's talk. No lawyers. He looked smaller there, nursing a Bud Light. The man who'd once loomed like a god. We fucked up. Bad.
But Ray.
He owed us. That money he left you, half was from our folks' estate. Skimmed before they died. Lies. Probably. But his eyes, wet, pleading, tugged something feral in me. Forgiveness?
Nah.
But doubt? Yeah. That slithered in.
The met in secret.
3 times. Him spinning tales of regret. How Mom's postpartum had twisted her. How his addiction had blinded him. We thought you'd bounce back.
Kid.
State care's good. Right? I laughed. Bitter as black coffee. But he flipped the script on the 4th meet. Your uncle wasn't a saint.
Faith.
He laundered for the outfit back in the day. That $18 mill? Tainted. Feds are sniffing. Settle with us. Or we all go down. Scheming bastard, testing me, probing for weakness. I played along, fed him half-truths, while Lou tailed him. Turns out, Dad was in deep with a loan shark, using the lawsuit as leverage for payout. Mom, she was the real spider, whispering in his ear, plotting to flip on him if I caved. They were tearing each other apart, just like old times. The tension coiled like a spring in my chest. Every deposition a knife fight. Mom took the stand, all pearl-clutching victimhood. She was always troubled. Your Honor. Stealing was just the start. The gallery murmured. I wanted to lunge across the bar. But Harlan's hand on my arm stopped me. Dad watched from the back, his face a mask. But later he texted, don't trust her. She's the one who pushed the frame job.
Flip.
Now he was my ally? The press frenzy peaked, op-eds calling me heartless. Reddit threads debating if blood trumped betrayal. Is Faith Harper a monster or a survivor? One headline blared. I read them all, each word a lash.
But it fueled me.
Ray's voice echoed, make him pay.
Kid. Maki inhumane bit.
I decided on the play during a Cubs game. Fireworks popping over Wrigley like false stars. No settlement. Full war. Lou leaked the safe house tape to an anonymous tip line, straight to the feds. Not for arrest, but to spook them. Dad called frantic. What the hell? Faith? You trying to bury us? I met him in Grant Park. The bean reflecting our warped faces. You buried me first, I said, voice steady as Lake Michigan ice. He broke then, spilling it all. The frame was Mom's idea. Her lover the bookie, who'd fronted the cash.
Dad, too weak to stop it.
I loved you.
Faith.
Still do. Controversial? Hell yes. Here was the devil himself. Humanized. Begging for scraps. Part of me wanted to hug him. End the cycle. But the girl from the group home? She whispered no. Mom caught wind. Cornered me outside court. Rain slicked the streets. Neon from a Giordano's sign bleeding red on puddles. He's lying? Baby. Your father, he's the monster. I tried to protect you. Her hands on my arms. Manicured nails digging in. Flip again. She offered dirt on Ray. Your uncle killed a man once. Covering for Victor. That's why he took you, to silence the witness. Lies? Truth? The line blurred. And I hated how it hooked me. This desperate dance of half-confessions. I shoved her off, but the seed was planted. What if Ray's empire was built on bones? What if my revenge made me just like them? The climax hit like a freight train in that final hearing. The courtroom packed tighter than a rush-hour L train. Harlan presented the tape, grainy but damning, projected on the screen for all to see. Little me on the stairs. Eyes wide. Dad at the safe.
Guilty as sin.
Gasps rippled. Mom shrieked. Deep fake, but the judge's gavel cracked like thunder. Dad bolted from his seat, pointing at her. Tell them. Diane, you made her lie. Chaos, lawyers shouting. Bailiffs swarming. I stood frozen, heart hammering, as the truth unfurled like a noose. The feds waited outside, arrests imminent. But in the melee, Dad lunged not at Mom, but me, grabbing my wrist, whispering fierce, run with me?
Faith.
We can disappear. Start over. Family. His grip. That old whiskey breath. It yanked me back to 10. To the safe. To the ice cream promise. I wrenched free, shoving him into a bailiff's arms. Family, you're poison. But as they cuffed him, Mom's eyes met mine, not rage, but something worse, pity. You could have saved us.
Faith.
Like we tried to save you from him. The twist gut punched me later. In Lou's report, Ray had covered a hit for Dad years before the embezzlement. A business associate who crossed the outfit. Ray took the fall quietly, vanished the body in a Calumet River barrel. That's why he hated them. Why he built me up, to be the clean air. Untainted. But in shielding me, he'd buried his own sin. I sued them into oblivion. Won the full $18 mill. But the victory tasted like ash. The press hailed me a hero, online. I was the enabler of a killer's legacy. Now I sit in Ray's high-rise. The city sprawled glittering like fool's gold below. I kept the money, donated chunks to kids in group homes.
But sleep?
It evades me. Did I avenge, or just continue the rot? Dad wrote from prison. Proud of you.
Kid.
We deserved it. Mom? Silent. But her lawyer hinted at a tell-all book. Debatable ending, justice served. Or a cycle unbroken.
You tell me.
All I know is, in America, revenge is the family business. And I'm the last one standing. The fallout from that courtroom brawl lingered like exhaust on the Dan Ryan. Thick and choking. I won. Sure. The judge dismissed the suit with prejudice. Slapped my parents with sanctions for fraud on the court. And the Fed scooped them up on old warrants plus new charges for perjury and conspiracy. $18 million stayed mine. A fortress of greenbacks Ray had stacked higher than the Sears Tower. But victory? It felt like swallowing glass. Every night, I'd wake in a cold sweat, replaying Dad's plea in Grant Park. Run with me. What if I'd said yes? What kind of monster does that make me for even considering it? Harlan threw a congratulations dinner at Gibson's, the steakhouse where Ray sealed his first big deal, fillets bleeding on white china. Power brokers slapping backs in the booth. You're untouchable now. Faith, he boomed, clinking his scotch. Untouchable. I smiled through the char. But inside, the doubts gnawed. Lou's final dossier hit my inbox that night. A PDF thicker than a phone book. Ray's skeletons. Rattled loose. The Calumet hit wasn't a one-off. Uncle had been the outfit's quiet cleaner in the 90s. Disposing problems for a cut of the action. That funded his legit flips. The condos in River North. The nest egg for me. And the embezzlement? Dad's scam had been a desperate grab to pay off debts to those same ghosts. Ray bailed him out once. Anonymously. Then cut the cord when Diane pushed the frame job. Protect the girl. Ray's old notes read. Scribbled in a ledger Lou unearthed.
Protect.
By dooming me to their lie. I drove to the river the next dawn. Fog rolling off the water like cigarette smoke. Stood on the bridge where Ray fished as a kid, casting lines into the murk. What now, Uncle? The wind whipped my coat, carrying echoes of his laugh, gruff, knowing. Back home, the penthouse felt too big, echoes bouncing off marble floors. I hired a decorator, some hipster from Lincoln Park who filled it with mid-century modern crap, Eames chairs, abstract art that screamed, I've got money, but no soul. It didn't help. The press wouldn't quit. TMZ ran Heiress exposes parents' dark past, but what's her uncle hiding? I lawyered up harder, but leaks sprang like sieves. Online sleuths dug into Ray's obit, connecting dots to unsolved cases. Controversy brewed, and I was the face, America's darling villain. The girl who clawed back her due, but maybe danced with devils. That's when she appeared. Elena, Mom's half-sister. The family black sheep I'd never met. She showed up at my lobby unannounced. A wiry woman in her 50s with Mom's sharp chin and a duffel of yellowed files. Diane's rotting in MCC. But she wants you to have this. We sat in the coffee shop downstairs. Steam rising from lattes like unspoken accusations. The files? Mom's diary. Entries from the abandonment era. Victor's a coward, one read. Ink smudged with tears. Framed our baby to save his skin. I let it happen, God. Why? Another. Ray knows too much. If he talks, we're done. But Faith. She's the only good thing. It humanized her. Cracked the ice around my rage. Elena sipped her black. Eyes like coals. She's not all monster.
Faith.
Neither are you. We talked for hours, me spilling the courtroom chaos. Her nodding with that quiet wisdom only aunts seem to have. Turns out, Mom had tried reaching out over the years. Letters intercepted by Ray's paranoia. He wanted you pure, Elena said. But purity's a lie in this family. She flipped sides easy. From Mom's messenger to my confessor. Urging therapy. Closure. Controversial? Damn right, here I was. Plotting revenge's endgame. And this stranger was peddling forgiveness like it was Black Friday at Macy's. I resisted. But the seed took. What if the betrayal cut both ways? Ray shielding me meant burying truths that could have freed me sooner. Had he betrayed me too? In his love, the real schemer, though, was Dad. From lockup, he orchestrated his own play, smuggled notes via a guard Ray once helped. First one arrived on legal stationery. Faith. The tape was partial. Full version shows Ray there that night, coaching the frame to settle his debt to me. Bullshit. Or was it? Lou verified. No full tape. But whispers and old PD files hinted Ray visited the house pre-bust. Dad's angle? Pitting me against Ray's ghost. Forcing a choice. Legacy or truth. He flipped again in the next missive. Help me plea down, and I'll spill on Diane's lover, the bookie. He's got dirt on Ray that could torch your inheritance. Leverage? Pure and simple. I met his lawyer in a soul food joint on the south side. Greens and cornbread steaming as we dickered. Victor's offering testimony, the mouthpiece said. Slick as Vaseline. In exchange for visitation rights post-release. Visitation. With me, the idea curdled my stomach, but sparked that old tug, the what-if of family unbroken.
Meanwhile,
Mom's camp lawyered up fierce, filing motions to suppress the tape as obtained illegally. Her attorney, a bulldog from Gold Coast, cornered Harlan in chambers. My clients prepared to countersue for emotional distress, $10 million. Easy. Emotional distress? From the daughter they orphaned? The judge, a no-nonsense black woman named Rivera, shut it down. But the threat hung. Mom herself wrote block letters on prison stationery. I did it for us.
Faith.
To escape the men who owned your father. Ray was one. Don't be.
Flip.
Now she was warning me off the money, painting Ray as the big bad. I paced the penthouse, whiskey in hand, the city lights mocking my indecision. Decisions piled up, each more controversial. Leak Ray's outfit ties to the press. Discredit the accusers? Or bury it deeper? Preserve the empire? America loves a redemption arc. But mine was fracturing, hero to anti-hero with every leaked email. Elena became my anchor, dragging me to AA meetings in Wicker Park basements, circles of folding chairs, and styrofoam coffee. Addiction's in the blood, she said, her own story spilling, Mom's half-sib scattered by the same neglect. There. I confessed the rage. The hook of Dad's pleas. The diary's pull. You're not them, a vet named Marco grunted. But don't let him define you. It stuck. That tension, revenge as catharsis or chain. I decided on a hybrid, partial truths. Fed the Sun-Times an anonymous tip on Dad's gambling ties. Watched the headlines erupt. Heiress's father linked to mob debts. It pressured his plea. Got him 18 months instead of 10 years. I visited once. Through plexiglass at MCC. Her face gaunt under fluorescence. Why'd you come? She rasped. To see if you're real, I said. She pressed a hand to the glass. I am. Forgive. I walked out without answering. Heart split like Lakeshore Drive traffic. But Dad's final flip gutted me. Released early on good behavior, my doing. Anonymously pulling strings via Harlan, he vanished. Lou tailed him to a motel in Cicero, the old outfit haunt. There, Dad met the bookie, real name Gino Rossi. Gray now, but eyes like daggers. Wiretap caught it. The girl's next.
Vic.
Ray's money's ours. Insurance on the old hits. They'd played me. The lawsuit? A smokescreen to flush me out. Force a settlement that'd fund their escape. Dad wasn't begging family. He was baiting the trap. Rage boiled anew. Dark and viscous. I confronted him at dawn. Motel door splintering under my boot, illegally. Yeah. But fuck the rules. He sat on the bed, packing a go bag. Gino's shadow in the bathroom. Faith, he sighed. No fight left. It was always about survival. I didn't hit him. Worse, I recorded it all. Phone hidden in my pocket. Tell the truth.
Dad.
For once. He did, spilling the frame. The debts. Ray's covers. Even Mom's complicity in a side scam.
But the twist?
I came back for you.
Kid.
Not the money. To warn you off it. Lies? His eyes said no. Controversial as hell. The devil redeemed. Or just another con. Gino lunged. I dodged. Harlan's .38 barking from my purse. A gift from Ray. Never fired till now. Non-lethal. Leg shot. But the scream echoed. Cops swarmed. Arrest stuck. Dad took the fall. Perjury plus assault. But whispered as they cuffed him. Burn it all.
Faith.
The money's curse. I didn't. But sitting in that interrogation room, echoes of my 10-year-old self, I saw the cycle clear. Revenge had split me open. Forced choices, no one wins. Elena waited outside, offering a smoke. What now? Therapy, I muttered. And maybe a trust for those kids. The empire stood, but cracked. America debated, was I avenger or enabler? Survivor or successor? The argument rages online. In bars. In my mirror. Good. Let 'em fight. I've got my own war, against the dark we all carry. Months blurred into a hazy autumn. Chicago's leaves turning blood orange like a warning I should have heeded sooner. The money sat in trusts now. Funneled to nonprofits, group homes upgraded with Ray's ghost money. Scholarships for troubled girls like me. But the penthouse? Still a cage. Walls closing in with every ping of a news alert. Dad's trial loomed. A spectacle in the same daily center, where it all ignited. Mom's too. Separate but intertwined. Their lawyers tag-teaming blame like a bad divorce. Elena crashed on my couch. Her presence a buffer against the silence. You're doing right, she'd say. Brewing Folgers strong enough to strip paint.
Right.
If right meant nightmares of Gino's scream. The .38's kick echoing Ray's lessons. Protect what's yours.
Faith.
Even if it burns. The media circus peaked pre-trial. 60 Minutes wanted an interview. Painting me as the prodigal daughter turned avenging angel. I declined. But leaks flowed. Dad's prison letters. Poetic now in hindsight. Pleading for final meet. Tell me you hate me. One read. Makes it easier. Mom's book deal fell through. Her tell-all reduced to blog rants from a halfway house. Railing against the system and, obliquely,
Me.
Some daughters destroy to build, she posted. Viral. Of course, Twitter storms with Faith's fury. Camps forming. Team reconciliation versus Team justice. Controversial decisions? Mine. Mostly. I funded Dad's defense pro bono via Shell, enough to keep him from a life bid. But not free. Mercy or manipulation. Even Harlan raised an eyebrow over oysters at Shaw's. You're playing God.
Kid.
Careful.
God.
Funny word for a girl raised on Ray's cynicism and state-issued Bibles. I visited churches sporadically, St. Michael's in Old Town. Incense thick as regret, seeking absolution that never stuck. Father O'Malley, all brogue and patience, called it the American burden, success stained with sin.
Spot on.
The twist I'd buried deepest surfaced in a psych eval, mandated for the civil suits still trickling in. Dr. Lena Voss, a no bullshit shrink from Hyde Park, peeled layers like an onion, Your revenge wasn't just payback.
Faith.
It was adoption, taking on their chaos to feel in control. Bullshit? Maybe. But it cracked something. The frame job wasn't just survival for them. It was a ritual. Passing the curse. I'd borne their crime at 10. Now I bore Ray's. Laundering his legacy into good. Dad's trial day dawned gray. Lake effect clouds brooding over the loop. I slipped in back row anonymous. Trench coat and shades. Heart thudding like a bass line at a Southside club. The prosecution painted him vivid. Architect of fraud. Architect of abandonment. Evidence stacked, tapes. Ledgers. My own depot where I detailed the safe house lie. But Dad's testimony? That flipped the room. He took the stand, shackled but straight-backed, voice steady as a newscaster's. I did it all wrong. Framed my daughter to save my marriage, my skin.
But Ray.
He was the string puller. Bailed us out. Then poisoned the well. Gasps. The DA objected. But Judge Rivera let it ride. Dad turned to the gallery, eyes locking mine through the crowd. Faith. I came back for redemption. The lawsuit, Diane's madness. I wanted to confess. Give you the truth free and clear. Lies layered on truth, the jury hung on every word. Faces twisting in that delicious moral gray. Mom's feed live tweeted from her cell. Victor's the snake. Always was. Flip. Her own trial followed swift. A plea deal crumbling under perjury counts. She allocuted tearful. I pushed the lie to protect her from him, from all of them.
Him? Ray?
Dad. The shadows. The courtroom emptied. But the debate exploded, cable news panels yelling over each other. Is Faith the real victim? Or the villain who profited? I fled to the lakefront. Waves crashing like applause. Elena's texts buzzing. Come home. Whiskey waiting. Home. The word mocked. The real climax brewed not in court, but a midnight call from Lou. Your old man's loose ends ain't tied. Gino's crew, they're gunning for the inheritance. Hit on you tonight. Heart slam. I barricaded the penthouse. .38 loaded. Waiting for shadows. They came at 3 a.m. 2 goons in balaclavas. Crowbars glinting under hallway LEDs. Adrenaline surged. American as apple pie and paranoia. I fired warning shots. Glass shattering like my resolve. One bolted. The other lunged. We grappled, me. The heiress in silk pajamas. Him reeking of cheap cologne and fear. I kneed his groin. Pistol whipped his temple. He crumpled.
Groaning.
Cops hauled him. But the message burned. The money's curse lived. Ray's sins demanding toll. Dad heard from inside. Orchestrated a final gambit. Smuggled note via Lou, who I'd turned reluctant ally. Meet me at the river. End this. Dawn broke bloody. Me on that same bridge. Wind howling off industrial sprawl. He emerged from the fog, paroled early. Conditions bent by his testimony. No shackles. Just a hoodie and haunted eyes. Faith. One word. And the dam broke. We talked, raw. Unfiltered. He confessed the full rot. The bookie was Ray's old partner. The frame a three-way to cut him out. I took the blame to shield you both. But it twisted us. Twisted. Yeah. I pressed the .38 to his chest, not loaded. Bluff, but his flinch said enough. Why sue?
Diane.
And hope, to force your hand, make you see we're all monsters. The controversial choice. I lowered the gun. Not forgiveness. but release. Handed him an envelope, $50K. Bus ticket to nowhere. Disappear. For real this time. He nodded. Tears carving tracks. Proud. Kid. Gone by noon. A ghost squared. Mom? I visited post-release. Her in a dingy Evanston studio. Chain-smoking camels. He left, she rasped. I nodded. She laughed. Bitter. Like father. Like daughter. But then, the twist she dropped like a live wire. Ray didn't just cover hits. He fathered you.
Faith.
Victor's infertility, the real secret. I slept with him to seal a debt. You're his blood. Not Vic's. Boom. World tilted.
Ray.
My rock. The lover who'd built an empire on our shared lie? DNA tests later confirmed, 95% match. Betrayal cubed. The ultimate berry. I torched the ledgers that night, flames licking Ray's study like Judgment Day. The money? Liquidated chunks. Anonymous donations to anti-corruption PACs. The rest in a foundation. Harper Legacy. For kids burned by family fire. Ending? Debatable as a Supreme Court split. I walk Chicago's streets freer. Elena my chosen kin. But shadows linger. Dad somewhere in the heartland. Mom fading in obscurity. Happy? In fragments. Tragic? In the bones. Readers, you choose. Did I break the cycle? Or forge a new chain? In this land of reinvention. Maybe that's the real revenge. Leaving the argument alive.